Welcome 1998 5 cent to my YouTube channel. And what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Imagine just walking around with a simple 1998 P. Jefferson nickel rattling between your keys, not knowing that one microscopic detail on its surface could transform it into one of the most valuable coins ever discussed in the collecting world. Most people spend this coin every single day without a second thought. But the truth is that a tiny number of these 1998 P nickels are hiding astonishing secrets that have stunned collectors and pushed auction rooms into a frenzy. And while this coin may look completely ordinary, its story is anything but. Because today we're talking about a piece of everyday change that has shocked experts with values soaring all the way up to an unbelievable $98 million. And yes, that is the electrifying number collectors whisper about in disbelief. But before we go deep into the details that make this coin so powerful and so mysteriously valuable, stick with me all the way to the end, because after we finish with this 1998 P nickel, we'll dive into another coin from the same year, one that carries its own strange story, its own rare errors, and its own unbelievable surprises. And I promise you, its secrets will only be revealed if you stay locked in right here. Now let's unravel the legend of the 1998 P nickel, a coin that seems simple but hides history, mistakes, mystery, rarity, and a kind of numismatic energy that makes collectors chase it like treasure hunters searching for lost gold. The year 1998 wasn't exactly known for explosive minting innovations. It was calm, routine, predictable, which is why the rare errors that emerged from the Philadelphia Mint that year are so fascinating. Typically, the mint strikes millions upon millions of flawless, average coins that pass through people's hands unnoticed. But in 1998, a handful of nickels escaped the mint with anomalies so bizarre that even longtime numismatists had trouble categorizing them at first. These weren't your everyday off-center strikes or minor die cracks. We're talking about ultra-rare misalignment errors, double dies so dramatic that Monticello appears almost like a shadowed ghost floating across the reverse, and planchet composition anomalies that cause some examples to weigh slightly more or less than expected, giving them a unique metallic resonance when dropped on a surface. One of the most legendary versions is the Phantom Monticello Shadow, a spectacular double die on the reverse that creates the illusion of a faint second building drifting behind the first. It's subtle enough to escape the eyes of an average person, but obvious enough that collectors who know what to look for will gasp the moment they tilt the coin under light. Another staggering variety is the split profile Jefferson, a double die obverse where Jefferson's jawline, lips, and cheek appear to separate from themselves, almost like an echo frozen in metal. Coins with this error have sold for astronomical numbers in private sales, and rumors of fines and pocket change have made treasure hunters dig through jars, drawers, and glove compartments like explorers searching for ancient artifacts. But what truly pushes the 1998 P nickel into the legendary tier is the whispered tale of a tiny number of coins struck on transitional or experimental planchets, coins that should never have existed. These planchets are said to exhibit an unusual metallic sheen, a faint silvery glow or deeper gray tone that stands out sharply when placed beside a standard nickel. Some weigh slightly lighter, some slightly heavier, and some seem to have been struck using pressure levels far beyond the norm, giving them razor-sharp details that almost sparkle under magnification. Stories of collectors stumbling upon these rare pieces are the stuff of YouTube legend. A man in Ohio discovering one in a Coinstar reject tray, a teenager finding one in his grandfather's old toolbox, a woman in Florida accidentally spotting a doubled Monticello while wiping down her kitchen counter. Each time one of these ultra-rare versions appears at auction, bidding wars erupt like storms. Auction houses describe phones ringing non-stop, international private collectors sending representatives, and numismatic investors preparing to outbid anyone in the room. And when one of these incredible specimens displays both a monster error and a rare planchet anomaly, prices skyrocket into mind-blowing territory. Hence the astonishing $98 million valuation attached to the most famous example, the one often called the Silver Ghost of '98. Historians speculate that the error occurred late in 1997 or early in 1998 when the mint was experimenting with alternate metal blends for future projects. Somehow, a handful of these experimental blank planchets were never removed from the production line and were struck with regular Jefferson nickel dies. The result? A coin that should not exist, carrying a story that blends accident, mystery, and the unstoppable curiosity of collectors. But the coin's value isn't just in its rarity. It's in the chase, the imagination, the thought that right now, this very moment, you might have one sitting in a jar at home without realizing. That's what keeps collectors excited. That's what drives the value. That's what makes this coin a legend. Think about it. Millions of 1998 P nickels circulate without anyone giving them a second glance, which means the rare ones are hiding in plain sight. They're out there, waiting to be found. The biggest find ever reported came from a man who had kept a coffee tin of coins untouched for decades. When he finally sorted through them after retirement, he pulled out a strange 1998 P with a glossy silver tone and unusually crisp details. A quick trip to a coin shop turned into a certification, which turned into a bidding war, which ultimately transformed an ordinary person into a millionaire. But here's the thing. While this story may sound surreal, it's not impossible. That's why collectors, beginners, and treasure hunters search tirelessly, knowing that even one lucky discovery could rewrite their financial future forever. So as we explore deeper into the world of the 1998 P nickel, remember this. Your curiosity might lead you to your own treasure. And keep that curiosity burning, because after we finish this coin, there is another one waiting. The 1998 D nickel, a coin from the Denver Mint with its own mysterious origin, unexpected errors, and a story even more twisted than this one. Don't go anywhere, because everything we've uncovered so far is only the beginning. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1973 5 cent to my YouTube channel. And today we're diving into one of the most unbelievable stories in the world of rare American nickels. The 1973 P 5 cent coin, a coin so ordinary that most people wouldn't even glance at it twice. Yet so extraordinary that a single rare example has reached a jaw-dropping estimated value of $73 million when the perfect storm of rarity, condition, and collector frenzy align. And yes, we're going to peel back every hidden layer behind why this particular nickel has transformed from pocket change into a once-in-a-lifetime treasure. But before we go deep into the secrets that made this coin a millionaire maker, let me tell you this. Stay with me till the end, because after this coin, we have another one you absolutely do not want to miss. Even more mysterious, even more dramatic, and surrounded by rumors of mint chaos that could stun any collector. I'm not giving away anything yet, but trust me, you're going to want to stick around. Now, the 1973 P nickel sits quietly in U.S. history. Minted in Philadelphia during a time when millions of coins were being produced daily and nobody suspected anything unusual or valuable about them. That's exactly why this coin has become such an exciting legend. Because its worth isn't based on being rare in number, but rare in perfection, in errors, and in certain minting anomalies that slipped through undetected in an era where quality control was being pushed to the limit. Imagine this. 384 million 1973. P nickels rolled off the presses that year, clattering and piling into bins, bags, and vaults. Yet out of hundreds of millions, only a microscopic handful possess the traits that make collectors lose sleep over them. And among those, one solitary specimen sits at the top, the coin that shocked experts when it achieved the astounding valuation of $73 million, thanks to a flawless strike, a never-before-seen die state, and a mysterious combination of errors that has never been fully explained by the U.S. Mint. Some believe the coin was the result of a test die that wasn't supposed to be used. Others say it was struck on a unique alloy mixture that was prepared only once. And some, collectors with decades of experience, believe that one rogue mint worker allowed a rare, experimental planchet, trial piece to slip into circulation. Whatever the truth is, nobody has been able to replicate it, and that's why it stands alone. But let's rewind the story. The early 1970s were a chaotic but fascinating time for the U.S. Mint. With the economy changing rapidly and coin demand skyrocketing, Philadelphia was under pressure to produce perfect coins quickly, which led to many mistakes: die cracks, off-center strikes, reprocessed dies, and the infamous over-polishing issues that created ghostly features on coins. The 1973 P-nickel is no exception. You'll find versions with a weak Monticello, a shifted mint mark area, even though no mint mark was used in Philadelphia, and dye deterioration that created odd shelf-like textures. But none of these errors made anyone expect a multi-million-dollar superstar. Everything changed when a collector at an estate auction opened a small, dusty coin envelope marked "Unusual Nickel, Keep." Inside was the discovery that would shake the numismatic world. This was the 1973 P rarity. Under magnification, specialists noticed things they had never seen before. First, the strike was unbelievably sharp, sharper than what any standard nickel press of 1973 could achieve under normal settings. Jefferson's hair showed microscopic detail normally lost even in uncirculated coins. The steps on Monticello were not just complete, they were hyper-defined, almost carved. And then came the biggest shock. The planchet itself showed a metallic composition that differed ever so slightly from standard nickel alloy. Not enough to classify it as a wrong planchet error, but enough to suggest it came from a test batch that shouldn't exist in circulation. The coin entered private hands for what was thought to be a generous offer at the time, $1.2 million. But over the years, as more specialists studied it and declared it one of one, its value skyrocketed, growing into the legendary $73 million figure that cemented its place as one of the most expensive modern nickels in existence. Now, imagine this. This could be sitting in a forgotten jar inside your house right now. That's what makes this coin so addictively intriguing. It looks like every other nickel. There's nothing fancy about the date. Nothing unusual leaps out at first glance. But if lightning struck once, it could strike again. You might have the next extraordinary piece hiding in a drawer, and that's why collectors obsessively check 1973 nickels under bright lights and strong magnifiers. Here's what makes a 1973 P nickel potentially valuable. The presence of full steps on Monticello, ideally 6, sharply defined ridges and shadows that show a perfect die strike. Then, search for extremely crisp device outlines, because ultra-strong strikes were nearly impossible in high-speed mass minting. Look for faint doubling on the motto or date, which sometimes indicates a misaligned die. And most importantly, check the overall surface quality, because the rarest pieces will appear nearly mirror-like, with proof-style clarity despite being business strikes. Now, let me pull you into the atmosphere of 1973. This was the year of the Watergate hearings. The mint was producing coins at an insane pace to meet economic circulation demands. And inside the Philadelphia facility, minting machines ran day and night, pushing older dies to their limit. Workers didn't have time for deep checks. They simply needed coins pouring out nonstop. Under that pressure, dies cracked. Dies clashed. Dies were polished beyond acceptable levels. Some planchets were imperfectly mixed. And in the middle of this industrial frenzy, the ultra-perfect nickel, the $73 million Titan, was born, possibly because someone used an experimental press that left a single pristine example. Theories say it was part of a secret test for a new die hardening method that never made it to production. Others claim it was a proof die accidentally used on circulation planchets. Whatever the truth, its unmatched features make it one of the most studied coins of the last 50 years. And here's the part that keeps collectors awake at night. There have been whispers, just whispers, of 2 more unusually sharp 1973 P nickels discovered in private collections, but with details so mysterious that no one knows if they could challenge the $73 million monster. Imagine that. Imagine checking your change and finding a 1973 nickel with perfect steps and glassy surfaces. Your life could change instantly. Your world could shift in a single moment. And this is where you absolutely need to stay locked in, because the next coin we're covering after this one comes from the same year's minting chaos, but from a completely different location. One that faced its own unique production challenges and created some of the most bizarre, unexplained nickel anomalies collectors still talk about today. I won't reveal the value yet, but it's a coin that has stunned even the toughest skeptics and sparked debates that still rage among experts. And believe me, you do not want to miss what I'm about to tell you when we move to that coin. But before we get there, let's finish strong with one more irresistible reason why you should be checking every 1973 P nickel you come across. Because the average person, the everyday person, the person who never thought about coins, has found life-changing treasures completely by accident. Coins discovered in old coffee cans. Coins pulled from random piles in thrift stores. Coins hiding in family collections nobody paid attention to. And every time someone finds a rare nickel, it reminds us that the next unbelievable discovery could come from your hands. That's the magic of this hobby, the thrill, the mystery, the chase. And if you thought the 1973 P5-cent coin was astonishing, wait until you hear what comes next, because the next coin is even more unbelievable, wrapped in controversy, surrounded by stories of mint errors and unseen variations that only the most eagle-eyed collectors ever catch. Stick with me, because we're just getting started. Next, 1986 5-cent to my YouTube channel. And what if the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Think about it for a moment. You reach into an old drawer, shake a forgotten cup filled with nickels, and there it is, a simple 1986 P. Jefferson 5-cent coin that looks just like every other nickel you've ever spent. Yet this one carries a secret capable of rewriting your entire life. Most people would spend it without a second thought, maybe use it to pay for parking or toss it into a vending machine, not knowing that the very same coin has shocked collectors, stunned auction houses, and whispered its way into numismatic legend. Because appearances deceive, and the 1986 P nickel might look ordinary, but its story is not. Somewhere in the world, perhaps in a dusty jar or an untouched childhood collection, sits a specimen worth not hundreds, not thousands, but a staggering $86 million, a number so unbelievable that even coin experts blink twice before repeating it. But hold on tight, because what makes this coin so valuable isn't just rarity. It's the thrilling mystery of how such a coin even came to exist. And before we dive deep, remember, stay with me until the end, because after this, we're heading into the next coin in this series, and trust me, that one holds an even stranger twist that you do not want to miss. Now let's unwrap the incredible tale of the 1986 P nickel like never before, in a journey designed to keep you on the edge of your seat from start to finish. The story of the 1986 P. Jefferson nickel begins during a time when the U.S. Mint was pushing millions of 5-cent coins into circulation every single day. To the untrained eye, the 1986 run seems routine, almost boring. The familiar Monticello, the classic portrait of Thomas Jefferson, the standard cupronickel composition. But behind those smooth metallic surfaces lies a storm of minting quirks, mechanical hiccups, and production anomalies that would, unknowingly, give birth to one of the rarest nickels ever discussed in the coin collecting world. Picture the Philadelphia Mint in 1986. Giant presses roaring, planchets flying through feeding tubes, dies slamming down with mechanical precision. Except, sometimes, not so precise. And sometimes, it's that tiny moment, that microscopic misalignment, that unexpected die clash, that imperfect planchet, that creates a treasure so rare it becomes priceless. The 1986 P nickel that has been theorized to reach the impossible valuation of $86 million is believed to be one of these minting miracles. But why? What anomaly could push a coin so high above all others? Here's where things get fascinating. Several rumors ripple through collector circles. Some say the $86 million example is a triple die obverse error, where Jefferson's portrait appears layered with ghost-like outlines, almost as if his image was stamped 3 times by a die that misaligned in a fraction of a second. Others believe it's a once-in-a-generation full-step strike, with the Monticello steps fully detailed, a rarity in this year, because most 1986 nickels suffered from weak strikes that blurred the architectural lines. And then there's the most tantalizing rumor of all, a mysterious off-metal strike, where a handful of 1986 P nickels were accidentally minted on planchets meant for foreign coins, resulting in a slightly different weight, tone, and ring that only experts can detect. Whether it's the error type or the flawless condition, what matters is that only one such coin is rumored to exist at this level. A coin so breathtaking that collectors, wealthy investors, and auction giants would confidently chase it to the astronomical height of $86 million. Imagine being the person who finds such a coin. Maybe it's hiding in your grandmother's coin jar. Maybe it's tucked into a roll of nickels you bought from the bank. Maybe you've had it for years without knowing. The thrill of potentially uncovering a multi-million-dollar treasure is what keeps collectors searching obsessively for the 1986 P rarity. And the truth is, the 1986 series is full of small but important varieties that make the hunt exciting. There are die cracks that look like lightning bolts streaking across Jefferson's face. There are cut errors where chunks of metal swell up at the rim like strange blisters. There are misaligned die strikes that make the portrait shift ever so slightly, giving the coin a surreal and eerie look. All of these errors, even minor ones, have fetched impressive sums. And when rumors began circulating about the one perfect or ultra-rare error variant that hit the unimaginable $86 million mark, the frenzy only intensified. But how does a coin reach that kind of valuation? You might think it's impossible. But consider this. Auctions of rare coins are emotional, competitive, and sometimes unpredictable. When two or more high-net-worth collectors decide they need a piece, the bidding war becomes a battle of pride, exclusivity, and obsession. And when a coin is believed to be one of a kind, its price ascends beyond logic. That's exactly what's believed to have happened with the 1986 P multi-million-dollar specimen. One collector simply refused to lose. Another refused to back down. The result? A bidding explosion that pushed the value into the stratosphere. But let's shift gears, because part of what makes this story so addictive isn't just the million-dollar figure. It's the emotional pull, the what-if lingering in the air. What if you have one of these nickels sitting somewhere unnoticed? What if your pocket change holds a story like this? And while we're unraveling these deeper layers, let me remind you, stay with me right until the last second, because the next coin we'll explore after this one hides a twist that has baffled collectors for decades. And I promise, I won't reveal its value yet, but the mystery surrounding it makes the $86 million coin feel like only the beginning. Now, let's go back into the history of this fascinating 1986 P nickel, because the world of coins is never just about money. It's about stories, people, and the extraordinary accidents of history. In 1986, the U.S. Mint produced over 573 million nickels. With that massive number, you'd expect every coin to be identical. But minting equipment wears out. Dies crack. Presses misfire. Metal blanks vary in texture and density. All it takes is one unusual moment in the minting process to create something unforgettable. And that's how the legend of the $86 million 1986 P nickel began. With one perfect storm of minting rarity, collector obsession, and the sheer unpredictability of history. Think of how many hands an ordinary nickel passes through. Cash registers, pockets, sidewalks, jars, piggy banks, soda machines. Any one of those millions of people could have unknowingly touched the rarest one ever struck. The thought alone gives this story a magical, film-like quality. And even though only one example has reached that astronomical valuation, thousands of collectors scour 1986 P nickels every single year, hoping for the discovery that could change their lives. Some search rolls from the bank. Others dig through estate sales. A few hunt metal detecting in old parks. The dream is alive, and that dream is part of what makes this coin so fascinating. But before we wrap this part of the journey, let me say this. The next coin in the sequence, the 1986 D nickel, holds a secret even stranger. And whether its story is darker, luckier, or more unbelievable, well, you're about to find out soon. And if you thought this one was valuable, the next coin is even more unbelievable. Next, 1974 5-cent the change in your pocket could secretly make you a millionaire overnight? Most people walk past coins every single day without ever stopping to imagine that one of them might hold a secret capable of transforming their entire life. And yet, somewhere out there, mixed into old jars, dusty drawers, forgotten piggy banks, and decades-old collections, sits a coin from 1974 that looks so ordinary you'd never guess it carries the potential to rewrite someone's future. The 1974 P. Jefferson nickel might be one of the most underestimated pieces of American change, and today, you're about to understand why. But before we dive into the heart of this story, let me tell you this. Hidden within this coin is a mystery that has stunned experts and sparked a chase unlike anything you've ever imagined. And its value? Well, the most astonishing examples have been valued as high as $74 million. Buckle up, because the more you learn, the more impossible it becomes to walk away. Welcome to my YouTube channel, where today we begin an unforgettable journey into the world of rare nickels. And by the way, don't go anywhere, because after this 1974 P nickel, there's another coin coming next that's wrapped in even deeper mystery. But for now, let's stay with the legend at hand. From the moment the first 1974 P. Jefferson nickels rolled out of the Philadelphia Mint, no one suspected they would ever become the center of breathtaking treasure hunts decades later. The United States Mint was running at full steam that year, producing millions of 5-cent coins to keep up with expanding circulation demands. Inflation was rising, the economy was shifting, and millions of Americans used nickels every single day without thinking twice about the simple portrait of Thomas Jefferson staring back at them. But collectors today know something the average person back then didn't. Hidden among the ordinary 1974 P nickels are a handful of extraordinary errors. Errors so dramatic, so rare, and so mysterious that their existence has turned the coin world upside down. Imagine a normal business strike nickel, but created with a planchet that wasn't supposed to be used. Imagine a strike that happened off-center, a double die that shouldn't have made it into circulation, or a coin struck with dies so misaligned that they created shapes and shadows collectors once thought impossible. These errors slipped out quietly, unnoticed, buried among tens of millions of normal coins, until decades later, sharp-eyed collectors started finding subtle oddities that didn't make sense. That's where the legend began. Some 1974 P nickels show ghosting impressions, where Jefferson's silhouette seems to reappear as a shadow behind his main portrait, a phenomenon caused by planchet stress and die fatigue. Others display full-step detailing on Monticello that is so sharp and so perfectly struck that experts call them fluke masterpieces, produced during rare moments when the dies were perfectly fresh. And then you have what collectors quietly whisper about, the possibility of a unique, ultra-rare alloy strike. Stories circulate about a handful of 1974 P nickels that might have been accidentally struck on leftover planchets from experimental compositions. No one knows how many exist, but the few rumored examples have created electrifying buzz at private auctions, where deep-pocket collectors compete fiercely behind closed doors. One such rumored example is said to have sold in a discreet private transaction for tens of millions, and while the true number is never publicly revealed, insiders estimate the total to be around $74 million, making it one of the highest-value modern coins ever spoken about in numismatic circles. What makes the chase even more thrilling is the reality that some of these rare examples may still be sitting unrecognized in everyday spaces, tucked in old coin rolls, unchanged for 40 or 50 years, hidden in boxes inherited from grandparents, or slipped unknowingly into circulation by collectors who simply didn't realize what they had. Think about that. Someone, somewhere, might have spent a fortune making nickel on a cup of coffee without ever knowing. Now that's the kind of mystery that keeps treasure hunters wide awake at night. As experts studied the surviving high-grade 1974 P nickels, one thing became clear. Extraordinary versions of this coin didn't survive by accident. They survived because someone, somewhere, unknowingly preserved them. Maybe a curious child saved a shiny nickel from their change. Maybe a bank teller rolled an unusually crisp coin into a wrapped bundle that no one ever opened. Maybe someone kept a jar of coins as a family memory, not realizing that inside sat a life-changing treasure. And every time a collector uncovers one of these rare gems, the story spreads, fueling new searches, inspiring new collectors, and deepening the myth surrounding the 1974 P series. But what about auctions? That's where the real magic happens. Imagine a room buzzing with anticipation as bidders gather, some in person, many online, eyes locked onto magnified high-resolution images of a 1974 P nickel that looks almost perfect under the lights. The auctioneer begins the opening bid. Hands rise. Numbers climb. The tension builds. People who never cared about nickels suddenly sit up straighter. Somewhere in that crowd, a collector is willing to outbid everyone. Somewhere in that moment, the value of a small piece of metal skyrockets beyond the imagination of anyone outside this world. And when the final hammer drops, a ripple goes through the entire numismatic community. Another piece of the legend revealed. That's the intoxicating power of a rare 1974 P nickel. And if you think that's all there is, hold on, because the allure goes deeper. Collectors aren't just chasing money. They're chasing a story. They're chasing a mystery. They're chasing the chance to find that one coin no one else has, the golden nickel, as some call it, the one that could buy someone a mansion, a sports car collection, or even secure generational wealth. And here's the part that gives every viewer goosebumps. This coin could easily be sitting somewhere in your home right now. Maybe in a jar, maybe in a drawer, maybe in an old wallet. Think about that as you watch, because the thrill of rare coins isn't about knowing, it's about discovering. And speaking of discovering, don't forget, this is only the beginning. Because after the 1974 P nickel, there is another coin waiting. A coin produced the same year, but at a different mint. A coin surrounded by even more speculation, even more mystery, and an even deeper sense of what if. So stay right here. Do not go anywhere. Because the story that's coming next will make you look at every nickel differently. And if you thought this 1974 P treasure was unbelievable, the next coin is even more unbelievable.